journalists who have feet on the ground and can report the truth. New York PARROT, a New York-based national and global news outlet, is changing the narratives of media operations. We focus on the news that matters, like self-empowerment, entrepreneurship, finances, health, security, politics, and more. We strive to curb violence, racial and economic discrimination, and to promote peace and socio-economic development of multiculturally diverse world. As we give voice to the people, we also give your business a voice and make it heard. Get your products and services off the ground by advertising on our fast-growing platform. With so much of daily visits to New York PARROT, you can't afford to be invisible to prospective clients on the websites they trust the most. Our posts reach millions of people across the New York State and around the world. Advertising on our new site will unlock an audience of thousands of potential customers on your doorstep. New York PARROT.
Keep watching The Politics every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on New York Parrot TV, the voice for humanity.
Welcome this Friday afternoon. It's nice and sunny out, as you see, coming from yesterday with all that rain and flooding. I am Robert Press, official City of New York media person, and let's get right into the show. It seems that more classified documents are being found every day at the Biden estate, whether it's in his Corvette, in his garage, in his house, even in his former office where he had his library. Does the Department of Justice have to do what it did to President Trump and just go through his whole house to see what else they're going to find there? And this goes back not when he's just president, but when he was vice president. At least Trump did it when he was president. And, all of a sudden, I think we're going to stop hearing about President Trump's classified papers that were found, since all of this is coming out from Joe Biden. On the New York State level, it looks like Governor Kathy Hochul took one on the chips today, or yesterday, I should say, when the Senate Judiciary Committee voted 10-9 not to bring her candidate for Chief Justice, Hector LaSalle, to the full state Senate floor. And it seems that Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart Cousins says that without the Judiciary Committee approving the movement to the floor, it won't come to the floor. However, Governor Kathy Hochul has said she is looking at all options because she says it states in the state constitution that the candidate has to be presented to the full Senate. So also, just what's going to happen to the progressive state senators that got Judge LaSalle not accepted as the position? Will these people find out that certain items that were supposed to happen in their district are now not going to happen or going to be pushed off? Could it be that maybe our new Metro North lines might not come in 2027, but they may be pushed back to 2020 because they run right through State Senator Gustavo Rivera's district, who is a major proponent against Judge LaSalle being chief judge? We will see. Next, locally, Mayor Adams, with too many more asylum seekers coming to New York City from the southern border, Mayor Adams has a new idea where to put these people. He wants to put them on cruise ships. Now, is he going to keep them here in New York or send them back down to Texas or whatever? Is it a good idea? I don't know. People normally get sick on cruise ships occasionally. They don't have good cruises. There could be problems putting the asylum seekers onto these cruise ships unless Mayor Adams has plan to send them back down south. Also on the subject of Mayor Adams is hiding from the media. I have not been able to get to Mayor Adams like I had the access to Mayor Bill de Blasio. Mayor Bill de Blasio, as bad as people think he was, he took it from the media. He even came up here to the Bronx to march in the Bronx Columbus Day Parade his last year in office. As he was walking and waving, "Hi, yes, I'm Mayor de Blasio, your friend," people were booing him on the sidelines, but Mayor de Blasio took it like a man. Come on, Eric Adams. Take it like a man. Let the media get to you and ask you the questions. Don't be like Joe Biden and say, "No more questions, no more questions." Don't hide from us, Mayor Adams. As far as safety goes, it's reported by the New York City Police Department that more than 4,600 gun arrests were reported in 2022. The New York City Police Department says that's a 27-year high. Come on, Mayor Adams, why don't you have a press conference about this so we could ask you about other questions? Yeah, I'm getting on there, right. Next item by Controller Brad Lander is that the Rikers Island population, as of January 3rd, 2023, is at 5,748 people. Now, that's interesting because I believe the city jails that are proposed, the borough jails, will only hold 4,800 people. So now we're in a situation where there's no cash bail. There should be no reason why these people are in Rikers Island unless they're really violent felons. Although I will say, according to Controller Lander, there are 5,129 people awaiting trial, so they're pre-trial. They are only accused of crimes, and most hopefully will be innocent, so they won't be in jail or prison. But as it is, 5,129 people are awaiting trial. Now, that means that their bail was set, and because they committed crimes under the no cash bail law, that bail could be set and they could not meet the bail. Also, Controller Lander adds that of the population, 1,108 or 19% of the Rikers Island population are people with serious mental problems. Now, my question is now to Dr. Katz, the head of the Health and Hospitals Corporation, who says they want to take the seriously ill people who are in Rikers Island in the infirmary and put them in places like Just Home at Jacoby Hospital. Now, that's the reason, because these new borough jails won't have any facilities to take care of the people. So will these 1,108 severely people with mental problems that are in Rikers Island, will most of these people wind up at Jacoby Hospital? That would be terrible, because you're going to have a lower than minimum security building where there's going to be one person sitting at a desk in the front. These people will be able to go out at any time. They won't be behind bars. The doors will be wide open for these people to walk out through the community. And it's been said they could take the BX12 bus into Manhattan, which is where it ends, or go anywhere they want. Now, if they're in jail already, why would you put them in a program where they could just walk out the front door? This is crazy. And Mayor Adams, you have to look at this Just Home program and see, do you want more crime in the communities? Do you want not only that, but they could be just going to the next building in Jacoby Hospital. And, well, who knows what's going to happen to the staff. And you know what? If this happens, I will be there to tell them exactly where the executive offices of Jacoby Hospital is. Go see the head of Jacoby Hospital. I'm sure he wants to see mentally ill people coming into his office. All right. I'm sure he wants his staff to be assaulted or just harassed by these mentally ill people, because the community is not going to take it, Dr. Katz. Sorry about that. Also, I want to mention that Congresswoman Alessandria Ocasio-Cortez, who has picked up Co-op City during the redistricting that occurred, she will be having a town hall meeting tomorrow, as a matter of fact, at 3 p.m. at 177 Dreiser Loop in auditorium number 3. Now, this is very important to the people of Co-op City. They have gone from Elliot Engel, who lost his election, to Jamal Bowman, who has been redistricted further up into Westchester County. So Alessandra Ocasio-Cortez has lost most of her Queens district to pick up the 50,000 people that live in Co-op City. Co-op City basically was named Co-op City because it's a city in itself. Much like, if you know Brooklyn, there's Starrett City, which is much like Co-op City, which is a conglomerate of about a dozen or so buildings, where again, thousands and thousands of people live. Co-op City is right in between the Hutchinson Parkway on one side and the New England Thruway on the other. It's also going to get its own new subway station, new Metro North station. Now, with Mayor Adams planning to build 3,000 units of housing, affordable housing, at the Parkchester Van Ness station, and 3,000 units of affordable housing at the Morris Park Metro North station. Mayor Adams, do you have any plans to build 3,000 units of affordable housing at the Co-op City station? This is a question I'd like to ask the mayor. Unfortunately, Mayor Adams, where are you? Oh, you're having events where invited press only are coming? Or are you having events that is closed to the media? Why are you hiding, Mayor Adams? We want questions. Going back, though, to this town hall meeting, I have put it on my blog. You'll find it on my blog at www.100%bronx.blogspot.com. There is a little button there to register, but I'm sure the auditorium can hold a lot of people, that if you come, you will not be turned down. Also, as far as Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez goes, she has opened a new office at 177 Dreiser Loop. It is room 3. It is open Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Why am I saying this? Because I want the people of Co-op City to know that they have a new congresswoman or congress member, and this is who it is, and they have a chance to meet her and ask her a question or two. Well, you know what? It's also conveniently that her district is now almost 90 to 95% of the 82nd Assembly District of Michael Benedetto's. And Michael Benedetto had a challenger this past year who got 35% against him. He is affiliated with Alessandra Ocasio-Cortez, so I expect Michael Benedetto to be leaving us soon, because I see no way that Michael Benedetto can win an election with a strong congresswoman like Alessandra Ocasio-Cortez having 90% of his district. If I lived in that district, I would just say to Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, I am with you. Please endorse me, and I will beat Assemblyman Michael Benedetto. And from what I hear, he is already grooming his replacement, Mr. John Doyle, who works at Jacoby Hospital. And Mr. Doyle, if you plan to run, you're going to have a lot of questions to answer during your campaign about Jacoby Hospital and the Just Home program, unless you're going to hide from the media like Mayor Adams is doing right now. Before we go to commercial break, which is going to be in a few seconds, I want to wish happy birthday to Matt Cruz, the district manager of Community Board 10. Matt Cruz is one of the best district managers you can find. All right. He may be a little politically connected, but he is doing a hell of a job as a district manager. It's too bad that he's not the district manager of Community Board 11, and that we can switch district managers and put the current district manager of Community Board 11 over to Community Board 10. And if you're listening, Borough President Gibson, there are things that I have to tell you about Community Board 11. you really have to do something. And if you need help, I'll volunteer to help you clean that board up. And let's go to commercial right now.
Do you wish your business makes it to the top list of the most searched for business in the US and around the world? Or are you searching for halal compliant services and products online? Then Halal Finder is your online resource directory pointing you to the right places and products. Let's help you explore halal products and services of your choice as we manage many halal businesses across the world. Promote your business with halalfinder.com, the only plug you need to grow. Our services include business listing, digital marketing, branding strategy, SEO campaigns, crowdfunding, and humanitarian support. On our Compassion Corner, we offer crowdfunding of halal ventures and humanitarian services. In this section, you can make or receive donations, start donation campaign, and check existing donation campaigns. And by paying zakat and sadaqah to our Compassion platform on halalfinder.com, you have supported the poor, widows or widowers, orphans, and the likes around the world. Contact us at info@halalfinder.com or call +1 718 822 5555. Get started today at halalfinder.com.
Okay, welcome back to the show. We're now going to go into our second part of the show. There is going to be a primary in the Republican part of Council District 13. This is a first in the Bronx. There has not been a Republican primary in 27 years. My guest today is Mr. George Havarack, who is going to be in that Republican primary. George, would you please introduce yourself?
How you doing, Bob? It's a pleasure to be here. My name is George Havarack. I'm a 66-year resident of the Spencer Estate community, and I am seeking for election in the Council District 13 and hopefully get the Republican nomination.
Now, why should voters put you there?
Well, Bob, I have a history in this community and in other communities of being out there for the people and being a voice of the people. And I feel that the current city council, the way things are going, they sort of going away from what they used to do as a district area, now using a collective agenda, a collectiveness to push certain agendas across the city and muffle the voice of the people.
You were a voice behind, or you were against the Bruckner upzoning. Can you explain what the Bruckner upzoning is?
Well, the Bruckner upzone took away from 34 parcels of land, and it's upzoning, and it's going to eventually eradicate the LDGMA, which is the low density growth management area, which was put in under Council Member Vaca. And that goes back in time. Now, the thing is, you know, the low density communities are a little bit of an oasis in our area, and they are not the described deserts. We're called transit deserts, food deserts, and every other kind of deserts. I believe it's a slice of suburbia that is a part of New York City's diversity, because diversity of living environment is kind of important, as well as diversity of population.
You know what, Kevin Diola has just put up a message. Why am I always fear-mongering the residents of Just Home Campus? Kevin, I would like to invite you to come on the show and debate me on that, okay? So that'll be a future show if Kevin wants to come on. Okay, but let's get back to Mr. Havarack here now. The Foodtown Supermarket, I remember that as an A&P. That's the centerpiece of this. Would you explain the owner of the Foodtown Supermarket and what he plans to do?
Well, I mean, the owner of the Foodtown Supermarket are the Bavona brothers, and the way I understand it is they want to close the supermarket for a period of a couple of years while they construct a tall building. It'll be over 85 feet, and eventually have a supermarket underneath that will probably be part of the Fresh program. But from what we could see, financing is going to probably be difficult under the current circumstances. So we really don't know what's going to happen. There's uncertainty with that part of the project, in my opinion. Is it possible some new people come in and join the partnership? Yes. Is it possible that the property gets flipped at some point? Yes. Is it possible it stays the same? Yes. So we really don't know at this current time, but we do know the zoning is being changed or
Are
has
you,
been changed.
George, are you familiar with the Kingsbridge Armory and what happened over there?
Vaguely familiar, but I know there were many, many things put in there. And Mark Messier was involved some years ago with the
Right.
ice rink. There was the mall thing going on too. And a lot of things were,
Now they're
they
back.
just didn't get through.
Right, they're back to square one, trying to find
Yes.
an idea for that. There's also a project up in Community Board 11 on Boston Road, a Fine Fair supermarket that will have the same number of units of housing, but it's only going to be a one-block radius, and it's going to be 12 stories because they get the additional bonus of the community facility and the affordable housing percentage. I happen to be an expert on land use from Community Board 8. I understand that you were on Community Board 10. Were you there during the process of this rezoning?
I was there during the process. I was at the genesis of it. We had gotten an email in July while we were on hiatus. And upon seeing that email, I was very much surprised by the scope of the project and sort of let's say the very laissez-faire attitude that was taken. I thought this was a very big deal, and I waited a little while before I brought it to the attention of the community.
Okay, now you're going to have to be dealing, if you're elected council person, you're going to have to be dealing with the two Metro North stations. Would you give the audience a little idea of what you want at these two Metro North stations?
Well, at the Metro North stations, that has a lot of legs. Let's be honest, it's not going to be able to be stopped. We know that. You're not stopping the Metro North from coming in. Around the Metro North station, we know there's going to be zoning changes. I mean, it's going to be very hard to combat that. Now, looking at that, you have to look at it this way. We have to try and shape it, and we have to try and mold it that's going to, in a way that's going to be palatable to the community and the residents around that area. Now, the bottom line is we have to have civic engagement here, unlike what we had in the Bruckner-Up zone, where there was no civic engagement except for a couple of hearings that were mandated. So the community board hearing, housing and zoning, and then the eventual community board vote. There was a complete lack of civic engagement with the community, although the community did speak out against it and showed their sentiment by having petitions with probably close to 12,000 signatures on them.
That's for the Food Town you're talking?
Yes, that's for the Food Town Bruckner-Up zone site.
Okay. During this process on the Metro North stations, they've had their community input, and housing was never discussed in previous meetings. Only at the last couple of meetings has the housing, because the mayor has got a housing shortage, he thinks. Okay.
Yeah, and that goes back to having proper civic engagement. So you basically, what we're saying here is there's improper civic engagement. It was very, very limited. And that's not what has to happen here. There has to be a better job has to be done at that level. And that's what has to happen here.
As a council member, as I said before in the show, the mayor is trying to put asylum seekers, and he has an idea to put them on cruise ships. If the mayor was to say that each community board has to take X amount of asylum seekers, what would you say to the mayor?
I would say we have to really think about this, because the bottom line is, why does each community board have to take something that New York City is creating a problem? New York City is creating a problem with a lot of their rules and regulations. I mean, we are being inundated with people. We have too many people and not enough housing, according to New York City. So, I mean, Bob, let's be honest. If you had water in your basement and you had 8 feet of water, what are you going to do? You're going to pump the water out, reassess, and make sure you don't have this damage again. Be prepared for it. We're not doing our due diligence to properly prepare. We have to assess the situation, assemble all the facts, and determine what we need. And we're not doing that here. We're creating too much uncertainty, and uncertainty brings a lot of negative emotion. And we have to clear the air here with this.
As far as the homelessness goes in the city, there are two proposed 200 single bed men's shelters proposed for Community Board 11. There was an additional 140 bed single men's shelter that was stopped by the mayor. Various people are taking credit for it. I take a little credit for it because I was the first one to bring this to the mayor's attention back a year ago when he visited Jacoby Hospital. And like I said, maybe that's why the mayor is hiding from me. With new buildings, though, are you familiar with Resolution 1211, which provides that any new housing provided by that uses city financing must have a 15% homeless set aside? Now, do you think that these two new shelters should go ahead if all this new building is going to be going on in Community Board 11 and Community Board 10?
Well, I think with the mandate where the 15% is required with new building that's with the financing that is in place. The point is, with that, why do you need those shelters then? Why are they needed? Can you show a need for them?
That's exactly my feeling, George.
And that's the thing, is because, Bob, I have to look at it this way. We have to have a fix what you have before you bring more or add more mentality here. We're just, we're getting overwhelmed. We're getting overwhelmed. And that's a problem across many spectrums here.
I come from the West Bronx, and if you look at what happened in the West Bronx, the Bedford Park area, Norwood, there are no more really two-family homes. There is scarcity. It's building next to building next to building. Even in Riverdale, where I lived, there was a small house with a big yard and an apartment building built to their property line. A developer bought that house and said, I'm building to my property line, and I can close off your windows or you could face a brick wall. And I know that that's happened with the private homes already. We've heard that before when Jimmy Vaca was the councilman. Mark Jonai tried to stop, but Mark Jonai is a landlord. They own buildings, so he's a developer. What would you say if Mark Jonai came up to you and said, as councilman, that I want to build an 8-story building or a 12-story building? What would you say to him?
Well, I would have to look at what the conditions are. First of all, we'd have to see if it was as of right or not. And also, to your point about people getting blocked in and bricked in with their windows. I mean, that was part of the problem with the zero lot line build. And getting back, this is tethered to when I look at the LDGMA, when they did the LDGMA, parts of certain communities were sacrificed in a way. And you have as of right building there that could happen. They're already pre-zoned. You have what I call pre-existing conditions. I mean, we could look in, on the sector of Crosby Avenue. You had 2 Victorian homes, two-family homes taken down, and now 2 31-family structures are going up on 250 by 100 lots. So, I mean, You're replacing 4 families, potentially maybe 6 families, the most, with probably 62, 64 families. So, I mean, that's 10 times the amount of density in the same spot. And it's in the transit zone. And we've discussed this already, what their plans are for the transit corridors. It's not going to be a pretty sight. We know, we don't have to get too deep into that, but we know that there are plans in place already along the transit corridors, where a lot of this other construction that's going on, it makes you scratch your head to go, why, when you know it's coming down the road?
Well, that's why there was a new 48-inch water main built across Pelham Parkway to go into Board 11, Board 10 rather, and a 36-inch gas main that came right through Board 11 down to Hunts Point. Again, that can go into Board 10 for, and I was told by the contract, I said, why is this being put in for future development?
Absolutely, because we see that now in Pelham Bay. I mean, you go look at the excavation and see what they're putting in, and they're definitely oversized gas lines, oversized sewer mains, etc. So they're preparing for a future deluge of overdevelopment.
I want to ask you what you think of a recent piece of legislation that the current councilwoman introduced and the city council voted on. It's a local law to amend the city of New York in relation to restricting the provision of eating utensils, condiments, packets, napkins, and extra eating containers, and clarifying the definition of a third-party courier service. Do you think that restaurants should not be giving out condiments and utensils only on request, much like if you go into a diner now, you have to request the straw? Do you think that limiting this is going to help?
No, I think it's political posturing, to be quite frank with you, Bob. I think it's only going to hurt the businesses a little bit because these people go into certain places, they want good customer service. And, that will influence tips and revisits. And the point is, I mean, is it really going to make that much of a difference? Probably not. I haven't seen any studies to suggest that it will.
Okay, now, one of your opponents ran in the assembly race last year, and her campaign manager says that she is one of the only experienced candidates in the race because she ran before in the assembly race. You also have a candidate on the other side, on the Democratic side, who ran in the last city council race, but in District 15, who has been redistricted or will be redistricted into District Council 13. What do you say about people who ran before that they should be the candidates and not people who have no history of running?
Well, I mean, if you've been to a World Series before, you kind of know you've been there, right? But you have to get there. So they really haven't been to the World Series yet. They haven't gotten there. The bottom line is, at the end of the day, I mean, running before gives you experience as a candidate as far as running in the process of going for a nomination. And that's the way it works. And I know on the Republican side, and you're talking about Ms. Nastasio, who actually is a friend of mine, for the record, and I like her. And the point is, yes, she has election experience as far as being a candidate before, but not holding office. So not holding office is, that is where the experience lies. So basically, we're on a level playing field here that way.
And because right now there are 5 people who have declared for the Republican primary. Yourself, Ms. Nastasio, Christy Marimano, Ariel Diaz Rivera, and Grace Lovick. So this should be a very lively, but I hate to say this, I hope the candidates don't throw mud at each other, but it seems to be, starting already by one of the candidates.
Well, that I don't know. I don't like to get down in the dirt unless I'm brought into the dirt. That's not my style. I always act like a gentleman and try to bring substance and a little bit of style to the people, because substance is what counts.
So let me ask you, what are your 3 major concerns should you be elected councilperson?
Well, judging from people I speak to around the area, obviously, public safety is a big concern. Public safety is a big concern. Overdevelopment's a big concern, and the economy is a big concern. Those are like a trilogy, although there are other things that are also important. But that seems to be the triad that seems to, we'll say the Holy Trinity, if you want to call it that has the people most engaged, we'll say.
While we have some time still, about 2 minutes left, and our friend Kevin Diola was on, are you familiar with the Bronxdale Avenue bike lane? It is a bike lane that was put at the curb where cars were moved out. One lane of traffic was taken away. And if you go up and down Bronxdale Avenue, you go through Morris Park Avenue, which has the bike lane on the outside. Where do you favor bike lanes? On the inside by the curb or on the outside in the traffic lane?
The bottom line, you have to look at each situation because they're all unique. I mean, I've been in Astoria and Long Island City, and I've seen the bike lanes similar to what's on Bronxdale, and they seem to work, but the streets are wider. They have a little bit more going on there, and there's a lot more cyclists actually, and we'll say users of alternative means of transportation. And on Bronxdale, I went over to Morris Park Civic Association, and I was like just stunned by what I seen, because it seems over there it might be better off the way it used to be, where the parking remains against the curb. That's just my opinion on that.
Okay, well, I'm going to wind up the show now. We went over a little bit. We, normally do a half hour, and we're at 35 minutes. We're going to end. So I want to thank you, George. Any final words before we leave, George?
Well, the thing is, we're going to go out and we're going to work hard. Right now, we're in the donation stage and getting some funding. And the important thing to remember, this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And the whole idea is to get on that ballot and get your signatures. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to fight hard for the people. We're going to bring back a voice to the people. And we're going to get away from the city council that is now working with a collectiveness to push agendas and muffle the voice of the people. And
Okay.
community is common unity, Bob. Remember that. And inclusion brings solutions.
Okay, I got to end the show, George. So thank you for coming on. I plan to have more candidates, the Republican and Democrat, coming on the show in the future. I've invited some. Hopefully, I'll have one next week. If not, hopefully, Mr. Kevin Diola will come on. And I want to thank you for watching and say goodbye to you and have a good day. Have a good week.
Do you wish your business makes it to the top list of the most searched for business in the US and around the world? Or are you searching for halal compliant services and products online? Then Halal Finder is your online resource directory pointing you to the right places and products. Let's help you explore halal products and services of your choice as we manage many halal businesses across the world. Promote your business with halalfinder.com, the only plug you need to grow. Our services include business listing, digital marketing, branding strategy, SEO campaigns, crowdfunding, and humanitarian support. On our Compassion Corner, we offer crowdfunding of halal ventures and humanitarian services. In this section, you can make or receive donations, start donation campaign, and check existing donation campaigns. And by paying zakat and sadaqah to our Compassion